On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, two Navy warships play chicken in San Diego Channel. Hi, I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So this video comes to us from the San Diego webcam. They posted it on Twitter. It's created a lot of discussion about what specifically was happening in the video. And I just want to do a short video and highlight a couple of issues. I am not affixing blame or pointing fingers at anyone. I just want people to understand what they're seeing in the video and try to understand what the situation was that led to two warships basically getting into what's called a head-on-head situation and then making a turn that's the opposite of what they would normally do in such a situation based on the rules of the road. These are the nautical rules that ships follow. I'm going to break this down. We'll talk about it in some detail. We'll look at it and come up with some issues for the future. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a second, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come in. All right, let's jump into this video. So let me set this video up and then we're going to break it down in a little bit here. You're looking from the exit of San Diego Harbor, looking into the harbor itself. And the best way to describe San Diego Bay, and I'll show you an image of it in a minute, is like a hook, an upside down hook. So it looks like, it'll basically take a J and flip it upside down. And the ship that's coming into San Diego Bay is this Burke-class destroyer USS Momsen. It is heading into the channel. Outbound is the LSD, the landing ship dock, USS Harpers Ferry. So this is the Harpers Ferry right here, the big large vessel. This is the Momsen, the U.S. Navy warship. You can see a tug, one of the sea tractor tugs that's escorting in the vessel. So you've got a couple of buoys here. So this is the red buoy. Now, the rule in the United States, and it's different around the world, is red on right when returning. So you always want to have the red buoy on your right side, the starboard side of the vessel when you're returning. The Harpers Ferry is outbound. The Momsen is inbound. Now, normally ships travel just like cars on a highway in the United States. Now, it flips in different areas of the world, but in the United States, you pass left side to left side, or what we call port to port. Looking forward on a vessel, you have the bow. The left side on the looking forward is port. The right side is starboard. This is why you use port and starboard, because left and right is relative. So what you want to do is pass port to port on vessels. What you don't want to do is pass starboard to starboard. Now, you can pass starboard to starboard. It's fine to do that. However, the normal passage would be port to port. Momsen should be on the right side as you're looking at this video of the channel. The Harpers Ferry should be on the left side of this channel. Harpers Ferry is outbound, Momsen is inbound. Now I'm going to play this. Now, one of the things that the San Diego webcam site did note is that the audio is not synced to the exact time period with this video, so there is an off sync. And I'm just going to play the audio from the very beginning part because the rest of it it doesn't really deal with this. So I'm going to let this play and then we're going to see what these vessels do.
To Warship 49, we're
Warship 49, we're coming to port to avoid you.
So that was the Momsen. Navy ships will not call each other by name. They're always calling by a warship number, the number on them. LSD 49 is the Harpers Ferry. Momsen says that they're going to come to port. They're going to pass starboard to starboard. So they're going to turn to the left in this video. Now, again, this was done before this happened. So this discussion took place before these vessels start maneuvering.
Warship 92, we are coming to port to avoid you as well.
So this is Harpers Ferry calling the Momsen saying, okay, we agree, we're going to come to port and we're going to do a starboard to starboard passage. So we're going to avoid each other by turning to the left and we'll pass starboard to starboard, which is opposite of the way it normally would be. Normally you would want Momsen over here, you would want Harpers Ferry over here. I'm going to kill the audio on here because, again, what you get is just some crackling and some noise and some background on the channel. But what you're seeing here is the Momsen, the Burke-class destroyer, maneuvering. And let me be clear, Burke-class destroyers can turn like Ferraris. And so you see them kind of kicking over. You can see she's kicking in a little bit of extra speed right here. You can see her prop going. So I want to make you aware of another thing. So the flags that are flying, these are the call numbers for the flag, or the call letters for the flag. All of them start with November. So you can see the call flags here on the port halyard. Same thing here with Harpers Ferry on her halyard. But the other one that's flying here on the starboard halyard of Momsen is the hotel, the international pennant followed by the H, the hotel flag. That indicates a pilot is on board. A San Diego pilot is on board Momsen. If you look at Harpers Ferry, there are none. There's no pilot flag being. Now, it doesn't mean there's not a pilot on board. What I'm saying is the pilot flag isn't being flown on board. Now, Navy vessels are not required to take San Diego Bay pilots on board for entrance and exit from the bay. They are required to take a Navy docking pilot on board. So when they moor against the pier in the Navy base, they have to take a docking pilot on board. So based on the flags I'm seeing here, Momsen is coming in under a San Diego Bay pilot. The Harpers Ferry is not. The other thing you begin to see right here is this. This is the green buoy. So the green buoy is the other side of the channel. This is the extreme. So the channel runs from this green buoy to this red buoy. And you'll notice that the ships are on the wrong side here. They should be the opposite way. Harpers Ferry should be to the left. The Momsen should be to the right. You can see Harpers Ferry right here made her turn, and she's now turning back hard right. She can't get too far out of the channel here because of draft issues. So both these vessels will be coming in. Momsen has an anchor underfoot just in case. I'm not sure if she had that anchor down to begin with or not. Usually a good idea to have an anchor ready to drop in case you need it in a channel, in case you lose propulsion as you go in. So here are the regulations that govern basically how you're going to handle. So first off, you have to decide what kind of situation you're in. And in this case, according to ColRegs, and I pulled up the eColRegs site, vessels are meeting on a reciprocal course, basically a head-to-head situation, in which case you operate under Rule 14. When two power-driven vessels are heading on reciprocal or nearly reciprocal courses so as to involve risk of collision, each shall alter her course to starboard so that each vessel shall pass on the port side of each other. They did not do that. They went starboard in this case, and therefore, they went to port and they passed basically starboard to starboard. B, such a situation shall be deemed to exist when the vessel sees the other ahead or nearly ahead, or by night can see her masthead lights or others in line or other side lights. So this is an issue clearly visible. There was no issue here with visibility. Finally, 14C, and this is the one that really kicks in here. When a vessel is in any doubt to whether such a situation exists, she shall assume that it does exist and act accordingly. Now, be clear, under ColRegs, the rules of road, ships can do whatever they need to do to avoid a collision. There's a point when you reach called in extremis, where you will take whatever action necessary to maneuver. And that's what these vessels did. Did they do incorrectly in their turn? No. Under ColRegs, they didn't. They were perfectly fine to turn to port to the left side and do a starboard to starboard passage. Completely within the rules of the road to do that. The question that comes up here that needs to be asked is how they got into that situation, because that situation could have been avoided. So the view is right here at the very southern tip of the entrance to the harbor. Looking back in, you can see this marina here, which conforms to what we see. I'm going to come over here to Marine Waves. Marine Waves, great app, has all charts for the United States on it. Matter of fact, if you download this onto your phone and you're on a boat, it'll show you your exact position. So this is San Diego Harbor. I'm going to zoom in here. So again, I was talking about San Diego Harbor having that kind of inverted J hook. You'll see it right here, the inverted J. This area out here, let me come over here, there we go. This area out here where the circle is, this is the entrance in. Momsen was heading northway, up the channel this way. The Harpers Ferry had come off the piers here. You can see the piers had come out from here under the Coronado Bridge through the channel and was outbound at the time. And if we zoom in here, the area in question is right around here. So here's that green buoy, here's the red buoy right here. And so the question that is asked, and then that I'm going to ask, is this. Why was the Harpers Ferry, I'm trying to keep the chart here, hugging the southbound side of the lane here, or the inbound side of the lane. Now you're fine. You can see there's lanes kind of put in here for you to be able to determine where you're at, but there's not a positive scheme. So you can sail anywhere in this channel. You're fine to sail anywhere in the channel, but you should stay toward your right side, toward the outbound side. And so Harpers Ferry should have been hugging along the green buoys. Now, why weren't they hugging along the green buoys? A couple of reasons here, I think. Number one, the red buoys really mark the inside of that channel. And so as you come and make this turn from going northbound towards southbound, it's easy for Harpers Ferry to kind of aim along those red buoys on the way out. There's not a green buoy here, as you notice, and so this is a long distance to sea. So what you tend to do is aim for the center of those buoys, and she was probably hugging along. The question I have is a really important one. Momsen, with a pilot on board, would have called that they were inbound the channel at the time. And due to AIS, they should have been able to see each other, and radar be able to see each other. And Momsen should have called ahead to Navy control that we're inbound to San Diego Harbor. Any outbound traffic, be aware. You will do a securite. You do this on the VHF channel for the designated harbor. You know, USS Momsen or Warship 92 inbound to San Diego Pier, whatever they're heading to. Harpers Ferry would do the same thing. Securite. Warship 48 outbound, or 49 outbound of San Diego. And the question is, why was Harpers Ferry close to the inbound lane? I'm going to add this one piece of information from marine traffic. So I was able to find the Momsen Marine AIS. I couldn't find Harpers Ferry because they don't always use their ship names. They use whatever they want to type in this case, Navy Unit 92. Couldn't find one for 49. But this is Momsen coming in. The ship came in, went up to the channel, docked up at North Island, and then came back out. And one of the interesting things is right here where the incident took place. Now, again, this is track line just for Momsen. The yellow here shows her coming in. She's hugging the right side of the channel. She has to do her kind of maneuver outside the channel here to the left side and keep going. But notice the green line, that's her outbound voyage. This is her outbound voyage. And she follows along in the Harpers Ferry's track line. She is hugging that south side of the channel, the left side of the channel. So you can't really fault Harpers Ferry for being on that south end of the channel, because it seems like this is what they do. This is what Momsen did on the way out. Again, I go back to the issue of communication, that Momsen and Harpers Ferry shouldn't have been surprised that both came around the corner and were heading toward each other. It was on Harpers Ferry to shift to the right side of the channel, and communication between the two to agree to a port-to-port, starboard-to-starboard passage either way. Like I said, they agreed to a starboard-to-starboard passage, and that was fine within the rules of the road. The question is when that communication took place. Come back over to our video here. Again, what you're seeing here, here's that red buoy. Harpers Ferry is making the turn from the north side, coming down the channel at this time. And you can see that Momsen appears to be in the correct position. The Momsen should have been toward the right of the channel. It is Harpers Ferry that appears to be outside the channel. Now, let me be clear. What we don't have here is the video just before this. Did Harpers Ferry have to maneuver for traffic? It's San Diego Bay. One of the biggest problems in San Diego Bay are the friggin' sailboats. They will cut across that channel and force vessels to maneuver all over the place. I have a friend who's a San Diego pilot who can tell you this perfect. I've heard it many times, that you have to deal with sailboats. You have to deal with a lot of traffic. We don't know what was happening prior to this. So I'm not going to sit there and say Harpers Ferry is at fault by any means, because Harpers Ferry may had to maneuver to get away from traffic to fix this. These ships can pass on opposite sides without a problem. All you have to do is avoid the navigation, avoid the collision. What this is going to do is cause some problems, I can tell you right now, because people who don't understand this situation are going to go crazy about it because of collisions that happened in 2017 involving USS Fitzgerald and USS McCain. Prior to that, the USS Porter. There's been a lot of high-vis Navy collisions. And having a game of chicken here in the harbor of San Diego is probably not the best thing, but this is one of the reasons why I want to do the video, is to put context to this. It is quite possible this was perfectly orchestrated and normal. There'll be a lot of people screaming and yelling that they probably shouldn't, because again, all you're seeing is a snapshot. You're not on the bridge. You don't know what's going on. This is why it's really important to put these issues in the context. The big issue here is there's no collision, there was no issue, there was no problem. That's what I wanted to get to. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a little bit, something about a little bit of ship navigation. If you did, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, and I'm sure I'm going to get some comments on this from a lot of Navy ship drivers. Please feel free to do it. Give it a thumbs up, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You can support the page by becoming a Super Thanks member. You can click that Super Thanks button and contribute directly to the page, or head on over to Patreon and become a patron of the page. I have monthly and yearly subscriptions available. I appreciate all the support. Till our next video, this is Sal, signing off.